Hello, you beautiful souls, and welcome back. This is the pathway to understanding, and come grab a seat. You know, I was thinking the other day, I wonder if like some of us have kind of accidentally turned healing into a second job. Like Mondays do therapy, Tuesdays is journal prompts, Wednesdays is shadow work, Thursdays is yoga, Fridays is inner child, Saturdays breath work, Sundays cry in the shower. And honestly, honestly, if we can be honest here, that some of us, that's me, it got to a point where I am like planning out my cries, planning out my okay, on Thursdays we journal, like, and then I'm wondering why I'm tired. Like, baby, like, healing wasn't supposed to become another thing on our to-do list, on my to-do list. And today I just want to talk about something that's just been sitting with me lately. And so, like, what if I've become so focused on becoming better that I've forgotten how to actually live? Like, life is passing me by. I'm trying to do all of the things with a little bit of time. And the reality of it is, I'm tiring myself out. Like, I mean, in hindsight, I could see how healing just became another achievement for me. I think self help has done some beautiful things, and even in how people talk about therapy now, talk about boundaries, attachment styles, their trauma, like the generational healing. Like, that's amazing, don't get me wrong, but like somewhere along the way, healing became performative and it became like this glamorous thing. And when you work with me as a therapist, it really is like, oh no, baby, you coming in here to do the work, okay? There's nothing glamorous about this. And I used to always say, you can come get this clinical smoke. Like, because I'm telling you, if you want to do the work, let's just do the work. Because I guarantee you, you're not going to heal. Your healing is not always in another book, in another podcast, in another identifying another trigger. Like, sometimes it is you just sitting in these uncomfortable emotions, just finding that space to just be human beings. Life is meant to be lived, memories are meant to be made. Like, just because I was feeling like, ooh, I have so much work I need to do and all of these things, like, it's still not even that I should be working on myself every day, every waking hour of the day. Like, always reading another book for some well self care, like the listening to the podcast is like improving another habit. Like, I found myself like believing that if I am not actively fixing myself, I'm falling behind. And so I don't know who need to hear this. For sure it was me. And I wish someone would have just told me. But at the end of the day, you're not a never-ending home renovation project. You're a person. So be people and go people. When self-awareness becomes self-surveillance, you got to check in. And as a therapist, I catch myself doing that too. I'll notice an emotion and immediately start analyzing it. Like, where did this come from? What's this attachment wound? What belief is underneath this? Like, is this like my anxiety? Is this just I lifted too much? Like, is this just nervous system dysregulation? And honestly, that's just my protective part showing up, you know? Like, sometimes I'm just irritated because I'm hungry. Sometimes I'm just overwhelmed because I haven't rested. Sometimes I don't need to unpack every single feeling. Sometimes I just need a nap. I think we've confused awareness with constant observation, and there's a difference between being self aware and monitoring yourself every second of every day, because that's exhausting. And I know earlier in my relationship, And he would ask me to like dig deep. And I'm like, okay, but sometimes like this isn't anything to dig deep about. Sometimes this is just, I ain't ate enough today and I'm tired, or I've been talking to people all day and I don't have anything to say, and that nothing is wrong. I just need rest. Nothing is wrong. I'm just hungry. Nothing is wrong. Like, I just need to sit here and breathe for a second, you know? And being able to have that discernment in the differences between self surveillance, self awareness, checking in with self, and just honestly overloading self. Like, that leads to feeling guilty when you're not healing. Like, have you ever had a perfectly good day and then thought, I should probably journal, or I mean, I haven't meditated, or I haven't worked on myself. I should be doing something productive. Why do we do that? Why was I doing that to myself? Because who told me that joy had to be earned? Who told me rest only counts if it's intentional? Like, who the heck told me that if I'm laughing too much, I must be avoiding something? Listen, sometimes you're not avoiding your trauma. Sometimes you're just enjoying life, and that is okay. Actually, it's kind of the point. I remember being in college and feeling like my life was like passing me by. I had to work to pay my bills. I had to work to pay my car. And so I feel like between when it came to my social life, when it came to sleep, when it came to schoolwork, like something suffered, something always suffered. And looking back on it, I worked so hard, even in getting my degrees. And when I finally got this last degree, it was like, this is the moment where, what am I going to do with this time? Like, I'm always trying to improve. And I do look back on my college years and wish that I would have lived a little bit more. And how it shows up now is I'm living a whole lot more, because real healing does include living. What I've been learning is that healing isn't just sitting with my pain, it's also creating a life where my pain isn't the main character anymore. And that doesn't mean that I'm not in pain, that I am not hurting, that I am not still healing. Like, none of that. Healing looks like sometimes laughing so hard your stomach hurts. It looks like booking the trip, reading the books that have absolutely nothing to teach you. And when I say, when I was trying to read those 100 books, now that I'm reading all kinds of things and still finding that I am still learning things. Like, sometimes healing looks like calling a friend or trying a new restaurant, learning yoga, having a personal curriculum. I have went down this deep dive about this personal curriculum, and then of course Virgo-esque typical type A me was like, ooh, okay, let's do all of these things and let's put them all in our curriculum. But okay, baby girl, let's reel it in. And so I have two. I have two things that I'm working on in my personal curriculum. And so that's pretty cool. You guys should check that out. But sometimes healing just looks like listening to music, listening to your favorite songs that you can shake your ass to, you know. Sometimes it looks like buying flowers because they made you smile. Walking outside without turning it into the mindful exercise, and like, just sometimes you got to exist, because eventually your life should become bigger than your healing journey. It isn't supposed to support your life. Well, healing is actually supposed to support your life, not replace it. So, things that I've been enjoying lately is I've been letting myself literally enjoy things again. I have been diving into these hobbies. I have been coloring. I have been doing paint by numbers. I have been making body butter. I have been making my own life products, like lotions and soaps and candles and sitting at my altar and praying and manifesting and journaling and doing Legos. I've just been reading books simply because they're fun, whether it is Lifetime movie, whether it is like a thriller. I mean, doing things not because they're going to change my life. Like, I've been planning trips. I am going to freaking Iceland, dreaming about places that I haven't seen yet. I've been creating this podcast because I just miss talking to myself nonetheless. And I know that the things that I have to say, I wish somebody would have said them because this whole time I've been sitting over here like, man, I probably am the only one thinking this. Like, I'm not that special. I've been diving into spirituality because it genuinely brings me peace. Not because I'm trying to become the most enlightened person in the room. I'm literally just trying to connect with my ancestors, especially in these times. I've been spending more time asking myself what sounds fun instead of what would make me a better person. Because honestly, that's healing too. Because maybe healing isn't always digging deeper, sometimes it's just laughing louder. And especially when you've all talked out and you have said the things and you have done the things, and now it's time for integration. Yeah, this is like the next part. After you've done the digging deep, after you've unearthed some things, you've learned some things, you got to put it into practice, baby. So this is what I want to leave you with today. If healing started to feel like another job, another checklist, another thing that you're failing at, maybe, I'm just saying, it's time to clock out and you got to go live. Go read that silly book, take the weekend trip, watch the comfort show, learn something new, bounce your ass in the kitchen, call someone who makes you laugh. Because the goal was never to become the most healed person on earth. The goal was to just build the life that actually feels good to wake up to. And when I think about that aspect of having a life that I don't have to vacation from, what does that really look like? And when you start to get curious about what that really looks like in practice of like, how can I embody Costa Rica? Costa Rica is probably one of my favorite places on earth that I have visited thus far. And as I am trying to create my Costa Rica, because what grounds me is being out in nature, looking at my plants. And it's so funny because I look back on my childhood and growing up and how my grandmother always had plants, and she would come out here and talk to her plants. And I just used to think that was just so cool. Like, but that was like regular. But it's cool now because I am like going back and thinking about, man, like how much of this is just ingrained into me. And as with the healing, the things to have to heal from, being able to do what the ancestors didn't get to do and live a life full of joy. And that won't always be easy by no means, but being able to just do the things just because, I think, has been one of the most enlightening parts about this journey, and learning that it doesn't have to be like a full-time thing. And not even to say you can't even take PTO sometimes, honestly, because the reality of it is Rome wasn't built in a day, and this is definitely a marathon and or a triathlon, right? Like where there are different parts, and maybe we are in the part where we walk it, you know, after we have swam, after we have ran the miles, after we have biked, maybe this is the part where we get to slow down and be able to integrate the things, be able to live a life that is going to challenge us in these ways. Because if we are secluded and never triggered, we're not going to know if the things that we have been practicing and trying to do are even working. And so I know healing is not supposed to consume my entire life. And that is what prompted me to leave my last job. And I loved that job. I worked for a nonprofit, and the company worked with the LGBTQ. They work with members with HIV. And I was able to grow a program, honestly, build a program, building a program and growing a program. And not for the faint of the heart, for sure, but what a learning lesson it was, and such an integral part of my journey, because that taught me also the importance of community. Because in that space, I felt so alone in how to do this, because in the field, you need people. You need someone to bounce ideas off of and keep you in check and kind of hold you accountable. And you don't know everything, and having someone to go ask those questions too, and certainly difficult, taught me my limitations and the importance of community, for sure. And also how to advocate for myself early on, how to get what I need respectfully, how to show up in spaces that weren't designed for me, but pulling up my seat to the table. And so that was nice. Definitely opened some doors and was a good experience, for sure. And I also knew when it was time to go, and it taught me the lesson in discernment, and how you can love a thing and it still not be good for you. You could love a thing, you could love the people, and you still can't show up and give when you're not being poured back into. And for so long, work and school were the things that did pour back into me. And what I have learned is that being able to be in those environments is also a part of the healing, because you learn that no, you don't have to react to everything, and there are still things worth fighting for. And you teach people how to treat you when you're not advocating for yourself. And so I just want to leave you guys with, healing isn't the full-time job. It doesn't even need to be the second job. Like, it is a journey. It is one that is ongoing. It is one that is never complete, because we're never complete in our journey and evolving. And so, being present in your life, showing up for you, and figuring out what are the things that truly fill up your cup. Now, thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope this conversation gives you permission not to quit healing, but to stop carrying it like a full-time job. So, before you go, I want you to sit with this question. If you didn't feel like you had to work on yourself today, what would you choose to do instead? Think about it. Journal it if you want, or don't. I mean, sometimes you don't have to process everything. Sometimes you can just live it. So, until next time, be gentle with yourself. And maybe next week I'll meet you back here on the hammock, or maybe we'll be on the couch. See ya.